Okay, thanks to my 171 subscribers. So tonight we're going to remove the fuel tank and hopefully change the fuel hose, the high pressure hose and the replaceable filter. And if there's a cleanable tea bag filter like there normally is in all the other Gen 1s, we'll clean that as well. So unfortunately tonight my cameraman has to work late making looms for the F1 industry, so I'm gonna have to shoot, point and do myself. So first of all we need to release the seat down here, pop the seat off, undo both sides here and here. Maybe two underneath the seat, I will check, and then we can pull the tank up and release the fuel hoses. So bear with me while I just do that. Okay, so remove the rear seat, 2 bolts that hold the front seat down, pulls off, heat shield rubber off, and like I said previous, both sides, this side, that side, and then both sides, and then there's 2 down here, and that is the tank free. So I'm going to do that now, and hopefully we'll have the tank off in a second. Okay, so they're out both sides. I failed to mention I'm sure I think I need to take these 2 out as well, both sides, on these little air ducts. I'm sure that goes into the tank. So that's it. So seat is off, these side ones, these top ones, I've yet to get them ones off there. I think they're 10mm like the other bolts. Yes, they are 10mm like the other bolts, but I need 2 hands. Okay, so that should be it in a second. So all the bolts out, basically lift from the rear, slide these out from inside the plastic fittings here, and then you've got the underside of the tank exposed. Unfortunately I'm the wrong side round, so I'm going to see if I can get to the other side. Got so much stuff in the way. Ooh. And it's just fallen down again, so it's going to rest it up there a little bit. And if we look here, we've got one quick release here that I installed. So if you haven't already replaced these on your fuel lines, get rid of the plastic ones and replace with some nice metal ones, and then hopefully your bike won't turn into a bonfire. But look, naughty old Pat, he's still got one plastic one here. So basically unclip, and then we just need to disconnect the electrics there. Might be a breather hose somewhere, and then we can pull off. So let's just disconnect them, and we can pull it a little bit further back. So breather and overflow hose, I've literally just pulled them because they just drop down to the side of the engine near the gear lever, so they're easy to put back in. It's better than trying to reconnect those. Disconnected. So while you're here, you really should just check these O-rings. Sometimes they need a little bit of petroleum jelly or grease to go back in nice, and there's an original one there as well. Yeah, okay, you can see there where I've spliced in my 3-phase from a generator that goes to my regulator and rectifier there. Just thought I'd show those 3 connectors there. That's just amalgamating tape to keep them fully waterproofed. Okay, right, so there's the fuel pump. Maybe it's been off before, maybe it hasn't, I don't know. So I'm going to take that into the workshop now, and we'll remove those Allen keys, and we'll see what we've got. So the tank is now inverted in the workshop. I suppose it's a good time to mention, before you do this, you should take the fuel out the tank. I always drain my tanks in the summertime, in the wintertime. So, I mean, ready for the summer or spring. So what I normally do is literally run the bike dry. So, yeah, I basically change the oil, fresh oil in, and suck. I've got one of those little suction things that pumps the fuel out. I run the oil dry, the fuel dry, not the oil, correction. And yeah, basically take as much fuel out as I can, and then run it until every last drop it just stalls on me. Then I know I've got as much out, and hopefully I won't get any swelling with the tank, especially with this flange here. So with the ethanol fuel that we have in the UK, it can be detrimental if it absorbs moisture. So anyway, I'm going to get those off and we'll be back in a sec. So after wrestling with the fuel pump, yeah, so out of my bolts here, I had 3 that would not undo. This was the first one. So I tried, don't know if you can see it, tried centre drilling it and using an easy out, and it just broke the head off. So that stayed as a stud. The other 2, this one here, I basically, oops, dropped it in the tank now. This one here then, this one here, and the one that's gone in the tank, I just kept drilling them with a big drill until the head's like lifted up, and then it relieved the tension in the actual thing, and I just tapped them with a centre punch and they unscrewed. So I've done a couple on the Gen 1 Tuonos and Millis. I've never had this problem. My advice is, if you get them and they will not budge, be really careful because of these studded inserts here that are embedded into the tank. You don't want to damage them, or you may be throwing your tank away or having other problems. So if you do have the problems, just centre punch the centre, and start drilling it out until you get it like that, and they will come out easy peasy. So it's no sweat. And as soon as I've just dropped one in the tank, I'm going to show you, if I can show you. Yeah, there you go, guys. There's a bit of sediment floating around in a tiny little bit of petrol that I've left in my tank. So I thought it was quite clean, but nevertheless, there's a little bit of nasty stuff floating around in there. So we're going to go and have a look at the pump now. So this is the pump. All in all, it looks really good condition. This pipe sometimes splits here. This one's in really good nick. Obviously this is the filter that I'm going to change. This pipe is then the next one that is prone to breaking and splitting and losing pressure here. But yet again, I'll just stand back. Fantastic. I have a tea bag filter here, which, you know what, is really, really clean. I'll still blow it out with a bit of air. I'll take the bottom of the pump out, make sure there's nothing nasty in there, and I'll replicate this, change this and replicate that with new parts, with proper E10 resistant fuel on the inside and the outside, because this is immersed in the fuel. So that's what you need to be really careful of, that you get the right spec fuel pipe. So this is the replacement filter, which you can see is exactly the same. This is 8mm 5/16 inlet, outlet. There is an arrow on there, so you can't get it wrong. So it comes from the pump with the arrow facing down, going out there for the high pressure hose. So that's easy. The fuel pipe, like I said, it's got to be SAJ30R10. That's the standard. That is submersible fuel pipe. It's really expensive. Obviously you can see where I got mine from there, and the dimensions and so forth. And these are the information for the fuel filter. This was the cheapest I can find. It was listed as a Ducati, as you can see. It's a Ducati one, but it's exactly the same. I think the Aprilia Ducati and BMW are all the same, but for some reason the Aprilia one has gone up in value. And this was about £20 cheaper. I think this was the most expensive bit, 30 quid. The pipe was about 27 quid, which is a lot of money for a little bit of pipe, but I hope to future-proof this, so it'll last another 20 years. So, onwards and upwards, let's get it stripped. So I brought one of these little kits that come with these pliers and a selection of these, so hard doing everything yourself, these eared clamps, single eared clamps. These are the ones I'm using, and you basically put the plier, it's very hard to show, you put the plier like that, like so, and crunch it up obviously with the pipe there, and your end result is something that looks like that, which is yeah, it's going to hold the 50 psi. I wouldn't suggest using worm drive things or anything with nuts and bolts, and as you can see the pipe is upside down, SAE J30R10. Say that again and again. So that's the new filter, the right way up. It's got a little screw hole here for this blue cable, and maybe it's an earth. Don't know why plastic is earth, in case it picks up something. So yeah, I just got to take the bottom bit off, and then it'll be done, and I'll just clean it up. So finish that off. So now we have it fitted, the new pipe all the way from the pump with new single eared clips, no twisty movements there, to the filter, right way, earth strap, and to the base of the pump. Yep, so main important thing is to make sure this is a nice radius, no twists, so the fuel will flow full volume and full PSI. So what's needed now is, I may well unbolt this, just give it a clean up, compressed air. I think on this gasket here, lots of people have tried lots of things. I think the Aprilia manual suggests you put Loctite, is it 418 on it, which I think is what it had on it. So I'm going to clean that off, and when I put it back in the tank, I will put a squidge of 418 Loctite around there, and then bolt it down to the appropriate torque. I won't over tighten them, and that's basically all there is on your fuel pump maintenance. So I hope that's been helpful. I am going to cut this filter open next to see what lurks inside, even though it did look, that looks a bit grubby fuel. Some of that's water, but yeah, so I'm going to cut that open and have a look, and I'll show you what I find inside. But yeah, that's the job. And then obviously putting it back in is dead easy. And I would suggest once you put it back in, before you put it on the bike, you might want to put some fuel in it just to make sure that that has sealed 100%. Or you could sit it on the bike and do that if you want, but it's just easier doing it outside the bike. But hope that helps, and we'll just have a look at the filter in a second, the old filter. So I've just cut the filter in half and pulled out this little thing here. So obviously yeah, it comes in from the top, filters it on the outside, clean fuel or filtered fuel in goes through there, because that was pushed on there like so, and then that goes down through to the injectors. So what I'm going to do is just expand on this. So this is, I assume this is a original from 2003 when it was made, assembled. So doesn't look very pretty, but let's pull it apart and have a look inside. Let's do some more. So this is the inside of the filter paper, and this is the outside of the filter paper. So inside outside, so it does look a little bit blacker, darker. So yeah, maybe the Caponord has been looked after and ran on decent fuel. Anyway, that's what the filter looks like when you open it up, which is interesting to look at. But anyway, it's nice to know. And there is the pump put back in. For the time being, I'm waiting for the Loctite 418 to arrive, so I've just put it in just to keep it nice and clean. You can see where I've put some other wrong bolts, which I shall be changing. So there you go. Aprilia Caponord fuel pump. Yeah, should be an easy job, but as you come across the bolts like I did that didn't want to budge, best thing is just get the drill on them and drill the heads off, and then tap them round with a centre punch, and they will undo when the pressure's released from the heads. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Like always, any questions, happy to help to answer. But all in all, I'm sure the filter was around about £30 and the pipe was about 27, so 57 quid. That's what it's going to cost you, hopefully, and no bolts. If you buy the 418 Loctite, which the Aprilia workshop recommend for the other models, that's about 14 quid. So you know what you're looking at there, 72 pounds. That's better than being parked up on the side of the road with a popped off pipe or a clogged filter, I think. So if it buys me another 20 years motorbiking, and I'm still here, I shall be enjoying it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.